unlearn what you have learned.
Use the Force, Luke.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
How rude! Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
So when are you still alive?
Don't give in to hate. That leads to the dark side.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jedi, Sith, Mandalorians, Twi'leks, Stormtroopers, and everything in between, to another exciting edition of the New Force Order
for life
podcast. It's a Star Wars podcast. I am 1/3 of your hosts. I am a professional wrestler, a multi-time champion in a galaxy far, far away. Your boy, GGP, aka Greek God Papadon.
To the Greek God.
Alongside with me tonight, I have the distinct honor of riding through many parsecs. Yes, we came in that thing. A medical droid who has a kung fu grip, witty banter, and pretty sweet goatee, if I may add, and a malicious, vicious, sadistic Sith Lord who is still campaigning for Revan in 2020. And we are honored to have on the show a guest who always comes and brings his A game. Boys, introduce yourselves to these ungrateful piece of shit fans.
Pieces of shits. I am the Dark Lord of the podcast, the Sith Ari, the Rampaging Reverend Kids, the Butcher, your boy Spiro, aka Darth Spiridon.
And I'll break kayfabe and not call you pieces of shits. We love you guys. I am smarter than 21B, more technical than FX7, as Papadon scowls at me with that face. The god of Steel and Thunder. And the man who wonders, with all those inventions that R2-D2 had inside of him, no one put any defibrillator pads so he could save Princess Leia? Dr. Destroyo, Alex Arroyo.
And hi, I'm Chris Feehan, the commanding officer of the 501st Legion's Empire City Garrison in New York. Thanks again, guys, for having me on.
Anytime, Chris.
Chris, you would think this is like your fourth show with us. You would have like a, snappy intro.
I gotta come up with a better intro. I gotta come up with some stylistic intro like you guys have.
How about something like, I am the sharpest shooting stormtrooper, something. I don't know, man.
Stormtrooper, sharpshooter.
I don't know. It doesn't go with it, but, hey.
White armor lives matter.
There you go.
That's
there
it.
You go.
If I can be timely. If I can. Anyway.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you here. Another week has passed. More news has dropped in the Star Wars canon or the Star Wars lore, and we're going to cover it. We're going to go over who's more over this week with our competitors, and we're going to go over King of the Wing. And this is probably going to be the last NFL podcast because all you fans absolutely, positively suck. We try to do something nice for you guys, and you guys drop the goddamn ball. You know what? It's okay. You guys want to play for the Jets and not score a touchdown, that's fine with us. We're going to start a Patreon, and if you guys actually want to listen to this show, you're going to have to pay for it. So that's it. I'm going full-fledged dark side. No more babyface Papadon. I'm going heel on all you scumbags out there in the galaxy far, far away. And if you don't like it, I don't care. I really don't. But anyway, Doc, why don't you enlighten us with some of the headlines that you were talking about before?
Okay, so first up, we touched about this last week a little bit about Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill being a little bit upset that his Tashi Station scene got cut out of A New Hope, Well, Mark, guess what? Your dreams and your wishes have been granted, my friend. Disney Plus adds lost Luke Skywalker scene to Star Wars A New Hope. So apparently they're going to be adding that scene where he goes to Tashi Station and he's looking through the binocs and he sees Tantive 4 getting attacked and he's talking to Biggs and Cammy and someone calls him a wormy, so they see he's not popular and blah, blah, blah. Literally the most boring Star Wars clip on the face of the planet is going to be added into A New Hope. Why? I have no idea. Do I really care? Let's see where they stick it, and let's that's what she said. And let's see how it flows with the movie, because I don't think it's a great scene that's going to be so flowy. So, but he's got his wish, so it's going to be there.
Well, you know what, man? If all it takes is Mark Hamill to go on social media and bitch and whine, then Mark Hamill, if you're listening to this, which you're probably not, but somebody who is, please get this to Mark Hamill. Go bitch and whine about you wishing that there was a scene of you battling the Knights of Ren alongside a still conflicted Ben Solo. See if they toss that in a movie in there somewhere. That would be great.
Yeah, that wishful thinking, my friend.
Yeah,
Chris,
Revan might be canon before they ever even think about doing that. Probably, you know.
what's your take on this, Chris? Have you seen this scene?
Yes, I have, and this story really struck a nerve with me this week. If you asked my 12-year-old self about seeing that scene, I would have been overjoyed and, oh, I can't wait to see this scene. That was a mythical scene that we had seen in the storybook. We had heard about it. We never actually got to see it. When it finally got released on one of the DVDs as an extra scene, I was like, oh, this scene sucks. This scene makes him look like a pussy. It really doesn't make him look like the hero that we've all come to love. There's a great video that I saw a couple years ago that's on YouTube called How Star Wars Was Saved in the Edit. And it's about a 15-minute video, and it goes through how they rearranged certain scenes, how they took out that scene with the binoculars of him looking up, so that the first introduction of Luke is during that whole scene with the Jawas when they're buying the droids. The whole great part about that is that hero's journey. We start like with the hero 15, 20 minutes into the movie, and you don't know anything about him. You don't have any preconceived notions. You're going on this journey with him, and he's like a blank slate. You can put your own self in that person. I think that's why the movie works. And they talk about that a little bit in the How Star Wars Was Saved in the Edit YouTube video. They also rearranged some other scenes. They cut out some other superfluous scenes, and they rearranged the order a little bit to make it more exciting, to keep flashing back to the Death Star and flashing back to Tatooine. I don't think it works in the movie. I think that George Lucas's wife, when she re-edited the movie, made for the fantastic movie that we now know as Star Wars. Tinkering with it now and going back, putting back in the Jabba the Hutt scene was also a huge mistake. It totally ruins the entire pace of the movie and was completely unnecessary. Again, my 12-year-old self couldn't wait to see that scene, couldn't wait to see it, couldn't wait to see all these pieces, because I usually am a kind of person who wants to see every piece of a movie, even if it doesn't really fit in the movie. And it's great that it exists. I just don't want to see it in the movie. I like the movie the way it's edited, the way it is. Leave it alone and leave Star Wars as it is.
Well, it's a funny thing you bring up Lucas's ex-wife, Marsha Lucas, because
Marsha.
Well, all I hear all day long at school is how great Marsha is at this, or how wonderful Marsha did that. Marsha.
StarWars.net, StarWarsNews.net.com, excuse me. They just put an article up about a book coming out by the name of J.W. Rinzler, Rinzler. He worked at Lucasfilm for over 15 years. And in this book, Marsha Lucas is going to touch base on what her thoughts on the prequels are and the sequel trilogy that was brought to by Disney. It's going to be, she also speaks about George Lucas and Lucasfilm since her departure after the original trilogy, where Rinzler said she was very funny. Also, there were some good stories. It was just great. She really had a wonderful spirit. She had nice things to say about George Lucas, probably because of the NDA and the divorce papers. and she talked to me about the prequels a little bit and also the new Star Wars films, which she had seen. Up to that point, I think she had seen them all and had interesting things to say, and it's all in the book. So, you people out there, if you guys curious to see what this individual had to say, I strongly suggest you go check it out. I too have seen that Star Wars was saved in the edit. I am 100% confident in what I'm about to say. If Marcia Lucas worked on the prequels, these prequels would not have any hate in it whatsoever. I think when Lucas steps up to bat with an idea, she'll call his bullshit like every wife does, puts his ass in check, and able to separate the good and the bad to get a good flow going. I mean, she did win an Oscar for her editing, I believe, on the original trilogy. So if there is tons of footage, like everyone speculates, a 4-hour cut of the original episode 1, 4-hour cut of episode 3, a longer cut of episode 2, we have the special edition of the original trilogy. Let's do a special edition of the prequel trilogy, the Marshall Lucas edit cut, and let's see where it goes. I mean, it can't hurt, right? And we'll see where we go with that. But anyhow, would you guys be interested in a book like this?
Definitely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I definitely believe that she might be the missing piece to the puzzle, man. You know, I mean, what was the last film she actually cut?
Jedi.
Yeah,
Jedi, right? Right. Yeah. And then after that, okay. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Maybe if she cut the prequels, like you say, man, it would have been a whole other animal, man, you know?
Yeah, they were bloated as they stood, and there was stuff in there that was just completely unnecessary. There was actually a fan edit of Phantom Menace that kind of eliminated Jar Jar Binks called the Phantom Edit that was circulating the internet for a while. That was a good example of all the crap, all the stupid jokes, all the stupid kid stuff that they put in there that really took away from the heart of the story and made it kind of a goofball movie when it didn't need to be. There was some good stuff in Phantom Menace. The fight scene with Darth Maul, some of the stuff with Kai Gwynn, some of that stuff was good. It just was mixed in with so much shit, so much other garbage. And there was a good documentary called The People versus George Lucas that basically came to the conclusion that everybody around George Lucas at that point was a yes man. He was God. He could do anything he wanted. Nobody was there to step in and say, yo, whoa, slow it down. Don't do this. Not a good idea. Nobody had the balls to step in and stop him from doing some of the stuff. And some of his ideas were good and some of them were bad. Nobody called him on the bad ones. And I think that shows drastically in the prequels. And I think that's why I actually prefer the new movies, even The Last Jedi, which was my least favorite of the three new movies. They're all, in my opinion, superior films to the prequels in their entirety, just because they're so poorly constructed. They're so poorly put together.
Well, I have to disagree with you on that, Chris, but I respect your opinion. Well, look, man. Doc can attest to what I'm about to say, right? And every
preach, my brother.
And every genre, there's going to be a situation where you need some sort of checks and balances, right? In the 90s, the late 90s, the holy trinity of Marvel Comics, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and Todd McFarlane left their books that they were drawing, X-Force, X-Men, Spider-Man, and they went and formed Image Comics, right? These guys were treated like the rock stars, like the Beatles in comics fandom back in the 90s, right? And they put out their own creator-owned books with their creator-owned characters and sold 1 million copies, made tons of scuttle. But the problem was there was no one standing over their shoulder to make sure they met deadlines. So these books were supposed to come out on a certain date. They came out 90 days later, a month later, 2 weeks later, whatever the case may be.
Still waiting for some of them to come out.
So that hurt them. In wrestling, there's certain writers they take credit for the 90s Attitude Era in WWF. These writers, they switched shift to WCW. They weren't a Vince McMahon there to put them yes to their good ideas, no's to their bad ideas, and checks and balances, and they ended up getting a bad name moving forward on. So Every genre, even rap. Look at rap. Rap, same thing.
Bro.
Music, uh, even in the music industry, you have people in certain genres like Death Row Records. These guys thought they can own the world. What happened? They got ahead of themselves. They lost Dr. Dre, then it went downhill. Nobody's bulletproof. You need a system of checks and balances in everything you do in order to separate the good from the bad. Because guarantee you, even the smartest mind in this planet is not going to hit a home run every time they come up with an idea. They will strike out once in a while, and they need that person there over their shoulder saying, "Hey, Kathy, that idea sucks. Hey, Bob, that idea sucks. Hey, guys, let's not make Reverend Cannon. He sucks." So, you know.
Oh,
Ooh, that's a low blow.
Oh man.
But anyway, I mean, look. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
No, dude, you know, you're absolutely right, man. You know, doesn't matter how great you are. Sometimes you get to such a high level of greatness where you think that everything you do is gold, but it's not. That's when you fucking start throwing shit on the walls, and at some point it's not gonna stick, but you won't see it that way if you don't have people around you that have the balls to be like, "Hey, boss, no, 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 no. No, let's not do it like this." You know, all the great leaders have people around them and they put smart people. Listen, you hire people, these people for a fucking reason. You utilize them, listen to them. At one point, like, you know, it happened to fucking George, man. You know, George, you know, fans were calling for Star Wars to be saved from George. Disney stepped in. Now they want him back. If he comes back, let's say that he comes back and he takes helm of a fucking movie, of a series, and we start seeing this stupid shit again, then what? You know?
No one's ever going to be happy. You know, this is the issue. So, and to dovetail into that, you know, Pop mentioned this writer from that book. What's his name? He said Rensler, J.W.
Rensler, yeah.
Apparently, he put out a video this week, this week, sorry, about him talking about his break from Lucasfilm, and what the deal with that was. Apparently, he was with Lucasfilm as a freelance writer, doing mostly the not the fiction stuff, but the behind the scenes nonfiction stuff for 15 years, 2001, 2016. So he was there from episode 2 on through The Force Awakens. So a significant portion of the time that he was there. And he was working on the behind the scenes book on The Force Awakens, and Disney kind of put the kibosh on it, gave it to somebody else, and then gave it back to him to kind of finish it up. And then they decided never to release it because they probably didn't want whatever background stuff was happening during The Force Awakens to kind of be revealed. Though we know the story, it wasn't like, you know, it was a big kind of hiding thing. So he leaves Lucasfilm shortly after Force Awakens, and seems like he doesn't have a lot of good things to say about the whole Disney thing and the whole Kathleen Kennedy thing. But, you know, unfortunately, he signs an NDA, and then he apparently can't say anything. Though he was going to write a book called The Rise and Fall of Star Wars, which basically that tells you everything. How obviously when George had it, it was at its peak, and then the second Disney took it over was The Fall of Star Wars, and he does not pull his punches when he talks about the prequels, and even Rogue One he throws under the bus. I mean, sorry, the sequels and Rogue One when he throws under the bus. Not a big fan of any of those movies, he says, and basically that Disney ruined Star Wars. And this book that he was going to write, Rise and Fall of Star Wars, got the NO from the Mouse House. They sent him a cease and desist on the book.
Was it a book or a vlog?
No. He posted a vlog about it, and they told him to take it down because he was in the midst of writing this book about, you know, why Disney had ruined Star Wars. Which again, he says, you know, it's all, you know, public knowledge. I'm just collating it all together and talking about it. And he got a letter from Disney lawyers saying that, yeah, this is not what's going to be happening. And he went to his lawyer, and his lawyer was like, you better take everything down. Like, this is some serious shit right here. And this is not the fucking guys we want to fuck with. So, shut him down. Guy hasn't worked for Lucasfilm since. He's doing some freelance stuff here and there. He wrote his own book, but It's a 40-minute video he put up answering questions about that. And that's basically the gist of everything. It seems like he's a disgruntled employee who really didn't like what happened in the House of Mouse and was trying to strike back. Get that? You see that little transition I made over there? And got shut down because the pockets of the Mickey is deeper than him.
Mhm.
Oh gosh. Listen, there's news coming out that George Lucas will reportedly return to direct his initial proposed trilogy. Now, this is coming from a website called The Mother of All Nerds. So, it's stated that because The Rise of Skywalker terribly failed, according to this article, which I don't agree with, it did not appease the fans and forced the company to rethink the course of the franchise. They're saying, according to various media outlets, the creator of the intergalactic saga is eager to develop a new trilogy that serves as a direct sequel to the original story, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. It should be recollected that George Lucas always wanted to make the 7th, 8th, and 9th episode. However, Disney dismissed the ideas he submitted for future projects. Apparently, the filmmaker wanted to explore the scientific aspect of the Force by expanding on a microbiotic world. The story would have concentrated on Luke, Leia, Han Solo, R2-D2, C-3PO, but now he will have to find new actors to fill their roles. Not really. All three films would have had featured creatures called the Wills that feed on the Force and control the universe. According to the creator of the sagas, the Will use humans as containers. We've talked about this before. Now, with all the rumblings going about and our inside sources talking about things have been discussed over at Lucasfilm.
And speaking of over, sorry.
Thank you. That all this nonsense about retconning the sequel trilogy, knocking out of canon, just moving forward and thus making believe that it doesn't exist. Do you think that this has any levity to it, meaning that maybe George just comes back, films a trilogy, doesn't call it 7, 8, 9, but takes place, let's say, 10 years instead of 30 or 20 or 15 years after Return of the Jedi, and has his story told before the trilogy of the House of Mouse? What do you guys think?
You know what, man? I'm going to tell you this. I do want to see something. I do want to see them delve into the Wills. I definitely want to see something that I think we're going to get in The Mandalorian, which deals with scientists trying to cultivate midichlorians. But do I want to see something that goes very deep into the whole like scientific thing to it? I'm not so sure, Chris, I'm not sure.
Okay, Chris, go.
I'm completely against it. I think the story's BS. I don't think there's any truth to it. I think that's a pipe dream. Somebody came out of their, thought it up out of their ass. I don't think there's any truth to that. I don't think it's even conceivably possible at this point. There is a lot of digital technology, but I agree with Spiro. I think they're going to explore some of those themes and some of those aspects in The Mandalorian. I think that's the plan. And I think eventually when they oust Kathleen Kennedy, which was another story this week, that there was some rumors.
How dare you?
How dare you?
That Jon Favreau will be in the helm or somebody else neutral, and that will be explored through various spin-offs of The Mandalorian. I think they've realized what they've hit with The Mandalorian. We discussed this a little when we were talking about The Mandalorian, and we were talking about the behind the scenes on The Mandalorian, the gallery show. That's the future of Star Wars, right? In the immediate future. I don't think we have to look any further than that timeline in between the movies. Exploring it through some spin-off series, I think it could be easily handled through that, and I don't think they're gonna possibly tackle getting George back into the fold at this point.
Yeah, at this point, $4-point-something billion in. I'm sure George is, lounging in his house with his boxers on, smoking a pipe, swimming in his Scrooge McDuck money. So it's hard for me to believe that George is going to step out from whatever hole he's been in and be like, well, I guess it's time to save Star Wars. Though the fans would love it, though they were calling for his head the minute after they saw Jar Jar Binks. So it's an interesting turn of events. Maybe this was George's plan all along to be like, let me just sell it to these idiots so I don't become the villain anymore. So I know they're going to fuck it up, and then come back and save the whole thing. I doubt that's also true, but listen, it would make a hell of a story.
Well, I mean, look, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. We aren't believing a lot of what we hear, but we are discrediting everything because sometimes when there's smoke, there is fire. Initially, it was said there was a civil war between Filoni and Favreau versus Team Kennedy. And then
Bobby and Jack?
Yes. Then there is an article coming out of the blue by Jon Favreau stating that we need to listen to the audience. Disney, Lucasfilm has to listen to the audience, and compared it to his days in stand-up, where you have to feel the atmosphere, become one with the atmosphere, give them back what they're looking for, yada, yada, yada. Almost like a community, he said. So that came out of the blue. Like, it wasn't a rebuttal to any other story, just very oddly placed that happened to drop right then and there. Then we have this other guy with the helmet, what's his name, Doomcock, come out, make up this story that they're going to retcon it to the world between worlds, and that they're going to get rid of 789 and leave it as legends in an alternate universe.
Fuck that.
Then we had our inside source said that it had been discussed, that they might do something similar. We said that if they did get rid of 7, 8, and 9, that it would alienate the entire franchise and people would be pissed off on both ends. What's worse than having a divided fan base? Having a pissed off divided fan base and everyone just being in the same boat, agreeing that the hate exists. So, I don't think it would do them any favors.
I think we'd be a united fan base, but we'd be a very angry, pissed off fan base. I mean, you'd have the people on both sides, either you liked it or didn't like it. Now they're both going to join forces and be like, well, what did you just do to us?
It's because, what is it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Type of scenario.
They just need to leave it as is, move forward, and give
agree.
us the best possible Star Wars, which I know they will. And as soon as that bitch leaves, bro, it's gonna be fucking awesome, man.
But now, since it was brought up in conversation, now this Cosmic News website, which is as, how can I put it? It's as reliable and reputable as we got this covered, right? That part of the revamping of Star Wars is getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy.
Yes, please, Jesus.
So the problem is this. She's leaving in 2021. Her contract's up regardless. So are they going to fire a woman in power who's made him a ton of money and has a great track record with great movies? No, because that would hurt the stock price. Are they gonna not renew her contract? Could be. Are they gonna spin it where she decides to step down, so it makes it look like it's her decision and that she's doing us a favor by giving us Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni moving forward? Absolutely, probably the case. But I don't think it has anything to do with a revamp. Am I wrong? I didn't read the article. I just read the headline. Doc, did you read the article?
Yep,
what about you?
I did. Hold on. Let me tell you what's going on. So we talk about her stepping down and about her not being at this meeting that was with Iger and Chapnick and all these guys, and she never misses a meeting and blah, blah, blah. And all this. It was like the future of Lucasfilm, and she wasn't there. So it was quite obvious that was an issue. They also talked about that she's not pursuing an extension of her contract, and she's doing this female-centric production company. This is all, again, according to Doomcock. And Disney, again, said that her contract's not going to be renewed. They wish her well in her new company, blah, blah, blah. And, it looks like they're leaning towards Filoni and Favreau, obviously, from there. So, let's see. She had her agenda. She told the monkey to dance, and he did, says Doomcock source at Lucasfilm, when it came to, what she wanted to do for for her vision for the sequels. They also talked about that we talked about this a couple weeks ago when I told you that they canceled Celebration, that now the tickets were going to be for 2022 and not 2021. And I kind of like, oh, maybe they're having it at a different place in California, that they're not going to renew those tickets. But apparently they're not doing a Celebration in 2021. And they talked about why pre-cancel an event for 2021 when no one has an idea what's going to happen with the coronavirus at that point. Why not wait and see? Why postpone it to 2022? Well, my friends, ask yourself what will have ended by 2022? The answer is simple: Kathleen Kennedy's contract. So we're saying that now they're canceling Celebration in 2021 to wait till she's out. That's kind of a little odd from there. I mean, I thought it was weird in general that they wouldn't announce a 2021 Celebration, because they've had one, every year since the inception. So it was kind of odd that was the case. Again, Doomcock, take it with a grain of salt.
Listen,
I'll tell you this. I think some of that does have legs, but I agree that not all of it makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Spear. I'm sorry.
Sorry, man. No, listen, man. If Disney fires her, Kathleen Kennedy, the champion of the feminist movement of the Force, is female movement, Disney will get super canceled, man. All of the soy boys and soy girls, they'll come out of hiding. Not only that, but the other point I wanted to make about that is fucking Doomcock, right? A fellow Star Wars fan, YouTuber, podcaster, urban acolyte.
He put him in his place.
Yeah, he did he come out yet with that? He said he was gonna make this video talking about some lies chat or something. Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't know if you want to share any of that stuff here, because man, this guy's a piece of work. He's another Mike Zero. He's like Mike Zero times 10 and shit. Okay.
Who Doomcock?
Yeah.
Listen, you can't take anything he says seriously. The guy looks like a Power Ranger villain. He takes credit for all the spoilers that he reported on the Rise of Skywalker. Unfortunately, those spoilers were true. So now, you got to take what he says at face value, and it's up to you whether you want to believe it. Look, man, they're not retconning anything. They're not going to do it. And if they do, look, I have the perfect way how they can do it. But we're not going to go down that path right now. Maybe later on we'll talk about it.
Before you do that, I want to read something that Doomcock said, which was interesting. He said, this is from his source. At this point, I've been informed that Kennedy's contract will not be renewed, blah, blah, blah. She would go to create her own production company. Her leadership will be missed at Disney. Anyway, so after the financial success of The Force Awakens, Kennedy was foolishly given free reign to do whatever she wanted with The Last Jedi. The result was a sham, a crass and tasteless propaganda film, a shameless checklist of woke talking points overflowing with virtual signaling and contempt for what Kennedy perceives as the patriarchy, utterly devoid of narrative, coherence, creative integrity, or anything resembling Star Wars. Kennedy had her way with Star Wars in an almost biblical sense, and then set about changing the culture and mission of Lucasfilm, stacking the staff with feminist ideologues and weeding out any employee that failed to live up to her political litmus test. Case in point, Dave Filoni. That's a mouthful right there, boy.
I did not ghostwrite that, okay? Just so that everybody knows.
Pop.
Listen.
I agree, though.
Well, wait a minute. The Rise of Skywalker didn't have any agendas in it. Any feminine agenda like, or so what is Doomcock saying?
He's talking about The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Got it.
That was a mouthful. I read that. I'm like, holy shit, this guy really fucking hates this movie.
Well, listen,
more than I do.
Oh shit.
Well, what are you gonna do? Look. The obvious choice, the horse to back, in my opinion, is Filoni, is Favreau. They've delivered something that unified the fandom for a short amount of time. They did the right thing. They look like they're on the same frequency as the fans, and they're not there to push an agenda. They're just there to tell good stories. And they're cherry-picking certain directors to fulfill the needs that they want to accomplish, and they're doing it tremendously, even with the last season of Clone Wars. some of the best Star Wars ever written with those last 4 episodes, The Siege of Mandalore.
Amazing.
You know, but there's there are people talking about how the Clone Wars still isn't finished yet. There's about 40 episodes they're saying that could have been done off of storylines from the Clone War era that were supposed to come out and didn't come out. 2 of them were put into books. One of them were Son of Dathomir, which is the Dark Horse Comics, which explains what happens to Maul after he gets captured by Sidious and his brother meeting his fate at Sidious's hands. And the other one was with what's her name? Shit. The bald chick. What's her name?
Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress and the other Jedi guy with the yellow stripe. What's his name?
Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan Voss. I think it was called Dark Disciple. Right?
Yep.
And that book was awesome. You know, and supposedly they were supposed to be animated shorts. So they're saying, Filoni says, look, we're looking to move forward. We're not looking to stay back or make a movement where we're just shifting from one left and right on a horizontal base. We're looking to go up and above. So may it come out? He says he won't be involved if it does, but could it possibly come out? Who knows? But at this point, I think the Clone Wars are just done. And I think they did it right. They finished on a high note. Don't try to squeeze more than you can out of the, you know what I'm saying? Or am I the only one on this?
I agree 100%. You guys went out on a high note. Leave it alone. Move on to the next chapter. And that's it, man. You know?
Well, I mean, they don't have to call it the Clone Wars. I mean, yeah, okay, it'll be set somewhere around that time period. They can call it something different. Like we talked about last week about the whole Bad Batch thing, where they may be chasing them and seeing, you know, them getting their own series because of that 4-episode arc they had in the last thing, which makes sense. I have no problem with that. If they do it in a similar style, even if Filoni's not involved, as long as they have someone who's at the helm who understands the story and understands where to go with it. Whatever. Listen, what's better than Star Wars, guys?
More fucking Star Wars.
More Star Wars. I think it's a foregone conclusion. They need something for the kid age level, get them hooked on Star Wars. They're going to need to have some fresh cartoon content. That's what Rebels was all about. That was a complete kid show. I think they're going to do something like that. They'll come up with some other interesting show with an interesting timeline that will be some other side stories that doesn't really impact the canon very much of the timeline that we're interested in. I'm all for that. I think you got to get them while they're young. You got to get the kids interested, keep them interested.
That's what Jeffrey Epstein said.
You got to get them interested, got to sell them some toys, and got to get them, you know, until they're old enough to really appreciate Star Wars. I remember when my brother has 2 boys, he was like, you know, asking me, because I have twin girls, like, oh, how old were they when you let them watch Star Wars? You know, because a little, I don't know, is 5 too young? Is 6 too young? I'm like, you know, get them started with the cartoons, then ease them into like the first, second movie, you know, just have it on. Don't make them sit down and watch it. Just kind of have it on and say, oh, look at the lightsaber battle. I think that's a good way to introduce the kids to it, get a whole new audience hooked on it, and that'll just continue to perpetuate the franchise. And Disney knows that. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to come up with a new kid-level Star Wars franchise at some point. Whether it be Clone Wars or some other offshoot, I'm all for anything Star Wars.
I mean, it'd be cool to see a little mini-series called The Son of Dathomir, and it's animated by the same style like the Clone Wars. And whether Filoni's not involved or not, the story's already been told in the comics. So you have your storyboard right there. All you have to do is put it in an animation. Same thing with the book. The story's been told, Dark Disciple. Tell the same story, animate it, make it a 6-part or 10-part or whatever you want miniseries. And that's it. One shot. Boom, done. Tell a story, move on. I mean, if that's the case, great. Because we get to see Quinlan Voss. We get to see Asajj Ventress. We get to see more Maul. I mean, Maul's a lot of people's favorite character, and people love him, especially the way Sam Witwer portrays him. And now that they got, what's his name, the actor who played him in the movie,
Ray
Park, doing the motion capture that's being presented in animation form, like they did in Siege of Mandalore, it just makes everything so much better. It's so much fluid to where it's amazing. So I don't understand, you know, why they wouldn't do it. but I do agree they need to move on to bigger and better stories. So, but I also agree they do need animated content for the younger viewers. So, who knows? Maybe there's some weight behind this story. Maybe there's not. But there are books coming out.
Hey man, real quick,
Ella.
do you think that a Crime Boss Mall animated show could work?
I think anything Maul can work because I think the demand is there. I think Maul putting on a tutu and dancing a ballerina, Swan Lake with metal legs, spider legs would work. You know what I mean?
I'd watch it.
Yeah, it'd be better than the Christmas special. So,
don't share the Christmas special.
Look, all I'm saying is, what's better than Maul? Maul. So that's it. Authors of upcoming short story collection of Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Stories of Light and Dark, revealed their chapters. So now a book's coming out with a bunch of different, this was reported on StarWars.com, a bunch of different authors. Lou Anders, Tom Engelberger, Freddie Cheeber, E. Ann Convey, Zoraida Cordova, just to name a few. Hold on a second. The page refresh. Sarah Beth Durst, Greg Van. Jeez, I hate these fucking pages. They keep refreshing and losing my spot. Greg Van Eckhout, Jason Fry, Yoon Ha Lee, Rebecca Roanhorse. They're coming out with a book, and it's going to talk about light side and dark side stories during the Clone Wars. I'm down for this, dude, because I'm a big fan of all the clones. The fact that Filoni took something as pale and as vanilla as the clones and gave each and every one of them some kind of personality, some kind of different characteristic where he humanized them, I think has just risen those characters above and beyond and continue to move forward. I would love to venture down and see more stories during that time. What do you guys think?
I think these anthology books that they put out, which a bunch of short stories by a bunch of different writers, are great things. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I love reading them because you don't have to commit to reading a whole book. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to read out of that, which was great. I mean, it's kind of similar to Ken Knapsack's book, where you can just pick it up whenever you want to pick it up and just read 3 pages, and now you have that portion of the story from over there. So it's one of my favorite ways to get a lot of stories across. You don't have to have a lot of meat in that bone. You can go right to the point, do a 20, 15-page story, and then build upon from there if you need to. But I love that anthology stuff.
I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
No, and I think with Disney Plus, they have that platform now. They can do an anthology series. They could do something really quick and they have, zero distribution cost. They basically just throw it up on Disney Plus. We've seen that model with Netflix. We've seen it with Amazon. You can produce these things now and get them to a wide audience and make it an asset that gets people to subscribe to your digital platform. So I think anything's possible with that going forward.
Yeah. Well, Disney's going to be doing that with the Marvel stuff. I mean, they have a bunch of shows coming up that are going to be like Winter Soldier, Captain America, Loki, She-Hulk, but they're doing a What If show, which is basically going to be an animated show, which is just going to be that anthology where they drop, one story in an episode. Maybe they'll have arcs we don't know, but for the most part, one story in an episode, boom, get it done, move on. Boom, get it done, move on. Star Wars is just like Marvel, absolutely perfect for that. You could tell all these stories. They did it in the Legends many, many, many times. But the question is Disney going to sign off on all this stuff? Which the mouse likes to keep everything close to the breast.
Well, listen, all I know is that I'm down for this book, and the content itself just adds more meat to the bone when it comes during that Clone War era, which is becoming a very strong era for a lot of Star Wars fans, because a lot of the fans who grew up in that era are now 20 years old, 25 years old, whatever, and it's hitting the right demographic to the point where these kids are going to buy the book. These kids are going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember this. It's a piece of my childhood. So there's some kind of twinge of nostalgia incorporated in, but it's also great storytelling, just adding more to the time frame that they're talking about. But I have noticed that they haven't been talking about anything regarding the sequel trilogy era. Now, one new book's coming out regarding that time frame at all, which is also a little bit of a red flag, if you ask me, which may hold some weight with this whole retconning nonsense and decanonization scenario of the sequel trilogies. Because let's face it, all this content's coming out, and it's either High Republic, which is supposed to come out now January 2021, or it's going to be, during the Clone Wars. And, Mandalorian's 5 years after sequel trilogy. All these new shows that are coming out allegedly, Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, the Rebel sequel, Ezra Thrawn live action. All these shows are supposed to take place right after Return of the Jedi. So it makes you wonder, why are they not touching this other time frame that they decided to delve in so quickly on? Is it because they're trying to ignore it because of the division of the fandom? Who knows?
I think that's exactly it. I think they put this out and they, expected, listen, it's Star Wars. It's a license to print money. And they did. And some people love it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. And they didn't get this, explosion response that they were expecting to get for the $4.2 billion they spent on this property. And now they're kind of sitting there holding the ball like, well, what the fuck do I do with it now? Because we gave them what Star Wars was in The Force Awakens and people complained. We gave them something completely different in The Last Jedi and people complained. Now we kind of took stuff, we tried to fix it in Rise of Skywalker and people complained. So, they're like a husband where when you come home, there's nothing that you could do. Your wife's still going to be fucking pissed off no matter what you do. So they're
Ain't that the fucking truth?
Yeah, preach, brother. They just have no idea. I think they're just clueless at this point. And they've seen Filoni and Favreau do the right thing. And now they're trying to back whatever horse that they're on and trying to do more things like The Mandalorian and saying, well, listen, let's just leave this over here for a little while. Like George left the prequels. And hopefully, as it ages like a fine wine, people would appreciate it more. I think that's where they're at.
I'd have to agree. I think the reception is so overwhelmingly positive with Mandalorian, and they can go in so many different directions. It also has that nostalgia factor that they've realized they've successfully tapped into, which they really didn't in any of the other new movies, with that look, feel, environment, and it's working, and they know it's working. And that gallery show, they went, crazy making that gallery show. That every episode of that gallery show, I was enthralled just to see how much they went back. And we talked about that extensively on one of those gallery episodes. I think they've realized they've struck gold with that, and they're going to keep mining that until that's expired.
Good. Well,
yeah,
listen,
I'm all for it.
There's talks about bringing some kind of old character or some kind of character from the past back in Mandalorian season 2, Doc.
Yes,
right?
They did. And this is a great question for our friend Chris, who's sitting with us right now. Mandalorian season 2 should bring back these stormtroopers. Unfortunately, it's not the 501st. Don't get excited, Chris. Take it easy.
Can't be.
I know. So here we go. So they talk about Rogue One bringing back the Death Troopers. Bringing back the Death Troopers from Rogue One and the Scout Troopers from
They were in the last episode of The Mandalorian briefly.
Yep. They're talking about bringing those back, but they also want the Mandalorians to bring back a specific type of stormtrooper, which is the Imperial Super Commando, which apparently were introduced in season 3 of the animated series Star Wars Rebels, which I am still in season 2, so don't spoil it for me. Led by Gar Saxon, this squadron of troop of Mandalorians who choose to slide with the Empire. They had iconic helmets and flying jetpacks. Their visors were slimmer than Boba Fett's, and their colors were the obligatory white. But Saxon had his red, highlighted armor because he was apparently the leader. So they, there's a call to bring back the Super Commandos in the Mandalorian because they think that they would fit perfectly into the whole, Mandalorian yet Empire twist on them, and they'd be a good recurring villain for Din Djarin as the season progresses. Listen, I think it's a great idea. Unfortunately, I think season 2 of The Mandalorian, which is already wrapped, we know that already, is already jam-packed with a lot of shit that they keep coming out and announcing. Just like if you look at that George Clooney Batman movie, it's proof that if you throw too much shit inside there, it's gonna fail. So let's save some, save some for the end, kid. Let's not get crazy, and let's save a little for dessert, because if you throw too much shit out there, it's just gonna be a disaster.
Let me savor each little bite.
Exactly. Let's, just like a good restaurant, bring me out a little bit. Those $500 French restaurants you take your wife to on your anniversary, they bring you out these small little pate plates, and they just get you a little excited for everything else.
Listen, man, bring them in, man. I'm a big fan of that idea. If they're not going to be in season 2, which they haven't said anything about it to that effect, bring them for season 3. And yeah, man, fuck yeah.
You have any Super Commando stormtroopers in your unit, in your garrison?
No, I think that's one that, because it's animated, there's not enough resources to make that what they call a costume reference library.
Yeah.
To make them official. If they were to bridge into live action, somebody in the group would start constructing it like instantly.
Gotcha.
There's already guys working on Mandalorians. There's already guys working on anything that was seen in anything live action. They instantly try to start working on.
Man, I've actually seen some cosplayers on Instagram that have made some nice armor.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to check on there, talk to those guys, see if they have any plans and stuff, blueprints.
Yeah, we're waiting for the CRL. I usually don't like to invest that kind of money until the CRL is released, which is the costume reference library. That way, you don't go down a road that you get something that then you can't use for
I see.
provable costume.
Gotcha.
I like to wait till that's all settled, and sometimes it can take. It probably won't be finalized for a year or two at the rate it's going right now. So it's going to take some time.
Well, listen,
wait, hold on, Pop. Sorry, let me jump in. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Chris, who is the board that sits on the approvable costumes? I'm just super curious.
Well, we have detachments for each different type of costume. There's like a detachment called whitearmor.net that's just for stormtroopers. There's one, the Pathfinders, that's just for like biker scouts. If they fall in that category, there's guys, men and women on those boards who know everything about those characters, and they do extensive research and try to find out every little detail that they can find out. And they discuss it amongst themselves and try to determine, which parts are needed, what the parts have to look like. And then somebody's got to be brave enough to be the first one to actually try to construct it. And once somebody constructs it and they review it and they go over every excruciating detail and determine that it is, acceptable and it is movie accurate, then they take pictures of it and they write out what's called a costume reference library for each piece. So you know what each piece looks like and what the reference photos look like. And then it's a challenge to have to try to match those reference pictures and make sure that it's as accurate as possible.
That sounds like a lot of work for no pay.
It is, but it's a passion. I mean, that's what we're all about. And that's why it's troopers helping troopers try to, get to that accuracy level. That when you're at that level, that you can step out and you're in a movie accurate costume.
Speaking about passion, Spiro, we have a passion for video games, am I right?
Yes, we are.
Any news on the video game front, Spiro?
Not that I know of.
Jesus Christ. You guys are not picking up on transitions here.
Hey, don't give me the you guys bullshit. I've been hitting every one of them
tell
tonight.
you, man, when you said that, I was like, you see, man, there we go. We're on the same fucking, I'm like, yes, we are a passionate bunch. We are passionate for fucking Star Wars. Our fans, though, are the ones who are lacking the fucking passion and the energy that they're getting, that they're giving to us. We're going to give back to them. But I guess that's not it. But
What about Squadrons, Spiro? Did you talk about that yet?
Yeah, we spoke about it, I think, last episode or the episode before that. Where I'm just hyped because you get to do this video game in what's that thing called? In
Jedi Fallen Order. Apparently, there's a door that you go.
Wait,
to.
hold on, dude. That's not
the VR, the PSVR.
Yes, yeah. You
I have it. That's why I'm dying for it.
That's what I'm saying. You get to fly VR, dude.
They screwed us over, EA, because Battlefront 1, at the very last cycle, right before Battlefront 2 came out, they came out with a special upgrade that had a X-Wing fighter mission that was exclusively in VR. I don't know if you know about that. It came out with Battlefront 1. but
How
it was
cool
only
is that?
one level, and it was like 10 minutes, and that was it. Battlefront 2 was supposed to be all VR until literally a month before it came out, and then
had
they
no
took
idea.
VR out of it right
Interesting.
at the last minute. And I was so pissed because I had pre-ordered it. I have the VR set up and everything for the PlayStation. I was royally pissed when they pulled it at the last minute, and they said there was no plans to add it. There was too many difficulties. There wasn't enough take on the VR. I was pissed. So I'm very excited that Squadrons, I'm finally going to get a fully developed Star Wars game in VR. I'm very excited about it.
It'll be awesome.
Okay, Doc, you were saying.
So going
Jedi
back to
Order?
Jedi Fallen Order. Apparently, there's a secret Easter egg in there that if you're really like, I don't know, I guess not getting laid, you could figure out. There's some door that you have to click, and once you click it, you realize you can't go through it. And usually you just turn around if you can't go through it and go a different path. But apparently if you sit there and you click on the door 66 times.
What?
Yes. Nobody's getting laid. Emperor Palpatine comes out and says, "Execute Order 66." And then that's it. The door still doesn't open. You turn around and go the opposite way. So exciting news on the video game front today.
Oh man.
All right, so you got any other news that you were supposed to drop and you probably didn't read?
No, I don't have any news. But if you shoot me a fucking title, I'll make something up nice. You know.
Yeah,
he is pretty good at that.
You can make some soup, salad out of chicken shit.
I'll make some shit salad out of fucking. But I'm sorry, guys. I've been very busy.
No,
but
busting your chops.
No, that's all right. Anyway, toss me a fucking topic. I'm gonna use the force here.
Okay, let's see.
Kathleen Kennedy's dildo apparently is shaped like Jabba the Hutt's tail. And go.
Well, you know what, man? You know what? That dildo would probably fit up my ass because she fucked me in the ass with all the stupid decisions that bitch made. So there's that next.
Okay, Lucasfilm planned Palpatine's return before Star Wars: The Last Jedi came out.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Now listen,
look,
that's true either.
What's up?
I don't think that's true either.
I don't buy it, man. I feel like that was a last ditch effort to sort of like fix things. And I mean, listen, it could have been a plan. And when he saw The Last Jedi, he was like, fuck, how am I gonna make this work? And that's why maybe the Rise of Skywalker turned out the way it did, you know.
All right, here on this article again, we got this covered, right? I hate this website, but they actually quoted someone from Lucasfilm. So, listen to this, guys. In Colin Trevorrow's initial version, Duel of the Fates, there was no trace of Palpatine, and the plot revolved around Rey and Kylo's clash. It seems, though, that the studio was already thinking of bringing back the Emperor even before the worldwide release of The Last Jedi in November 2017. This reveal comes courtesy of The Art of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which showcases sketches that feature a fragile body of the Senate in his harness dating all the way back to late 2017 when the art department started working on the last entry. As production designer, Kevin Jenkins explained on Twitter when asked if this is true that the art department started working on episode 9 in October 2017. At the very beginning of the production, I was on my own developing designs for Palpatine's return. Due to secrecy at the time, I was locked away in my own dark office, let out once a week to review designs with JJ. This pencil sketch is from the very first batch, he wrote. So, if he's saying that this happened in 2017, right before The Last Jedi was supposed to come out, then the dismissal of Colin Trevorrow's Duel of the Fate script happened a lot earlier than reported, because obviously if him and JJ are coming out and taking a look at the sketches, that means JJ was on board right before The Last Jedi dropped. So something doesn't make sense here. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you are correct. So now is this Disney's way of retconning themselves in this? Or did they tell this guy, listen, just don't put 2019 on that. Just back that ball guy from like 2017. Just so they can see like they're not fucking making things up on the fly. So listen, I wouldn't put it past them.
I don't know. I'm just tired of talking about the sequel trilogy and all the pros and cons because we're never going to be satisfied no matter what. Like I said, everybody's interpretation of the sequel trilogy is their own entitlement. You know, you like it, you love it, you hate it. Doesn't matter. It's just Star Wars. Enjoy it for what it is, the good and the bad. Speaking of what's going on in Rise of Skywalker, though, your boy Marky Mark over there, was a little envious of Rey.
He indeed was. So, article came out. The Rise of Skywalker gave Rey what Mark Hamill always wanted for Luke. So we touched base about this in the past before, how Mark Hamill was convinced that going into Return of the Jedi, he was going to become either tempted by the dark side or turn to the dark side because he had a black outfit. So obviously that meant that he was going to the dark side. So, and which we know was not true. He was tempted by it, but he never made any dark side turn. So, he apparently had tweeted about or had mentioned about in an article they spoke to me in an interview, Jesus Christ almighty,
way to show up, Doc.
Thanks. About his turn to the dark side, and he said every actor always wants to play their own evil twin. And he spoke about the fact that Rey did get to play her own evil twin as Dark Rey for all that 0.2 of a second that she popped up in the last movie. And he was disappointed that he was never able to turn to the dark side and play that evil twin of himself, and go down that path. And then he was envious of Daisy Ridley that she actually did that, and he lived his dream in her own way. Again, somebody making an article out of a 2-second blurb that Hamill had said. It's like, people worship the ground this guy walks on. I get it. You're Luke Skywalker. All right, move on, buddy.
So you wouldn't have liked to see Dark Side Luke?
I did see Dark Side Luke. It was in a story called The Dark Empire, which it was released by Marvel Comics shortly thereafter. So
actually, it was Dark Horse Comics.
My bad, Dark Horse Comics. You were correct. And
as always.
And guess what? Right here, and what my ex-wife calls a black heart, that's still canon. Unlike Revan, though.
Let me tell you something. I see Dark Side Luke every time I decide to go on Twitter and I see him talking some social justice shit. That's when I see Dark Side Luke. But I mean, listen, man, if he'd have turned full dark side, how do you have somebody then they would have the fucking task of redeeming him. And, and we talk about Kylo Ren, how he turned and how he fucking killed all these people. And that even though he redeemed himself in some way, he's still irredeemable to a certain extent, and he had to fucking die. How do we kill a guy like Luke Skywalker?
Force projection.
Well, that happened. I mean, he deserved to go out, I think, on his shield, not like that, But anyways, yeah, man. I mean, that I would love to see a fucking Darth Luke and shit, but then you gotta think about that shit. Then
What about you, Chris? Would you like to see Dark Side Luke?
I think we did. I think that's not really accurate. I think we saw as much as we were going to see in Empire Strikes Back. We see that scene in the cave when he kind of faces down Darth Vader and chops him up and sees his own face. It's obvious that he's seeing himself in Darth Vader. And in Return of the Jedi, when he's about to kill Darth Vader and he looks at his hand and he looks at his hand, you see him at the precipice and he doesn't step over. We want the hero not to step over. He had to take the bullet for that. I'm sorry, Mark, you don't get to play the bad guy. You're the good guy. And there was an interesting thing about that costume. I actually have that costume, the Return of the Jedi Luke black costume. It's one of my favorite costumes. I break out periodically. You know that at the end, after he is in the fight with Vader, the little flap comes down. Underneath, it's always been white. It was always white underneath. And that was a little cue. That was a little subtle thing that they did with the costume to kind of reveal that he was always good underneath that black outfit. So I always loved that sequence. After that sequence, you see the little flap down. You see he was always good all along. I think he's.
I never noticed that. That's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Really? You didn't know that, Doc?
No, I knew the flap came down, but I never equated it to that.
I thought it was great.
Like him revealing him to be internally still light.
Yeah. I always thought I always really thought that was poignant. But again, you don't always get to live out your dreams as an actor. Sometimes it serves the story, and I think Luke had to be the pure Luke and be on that precipice and then come back. And and that moment always gets me in Return of the Jedi. I love that exact moment when he looks and he throws down his saber. He's like, no, I love that sequence because I think that's a very powerful, one of the most powerful moments in Star Wars.
Now, I'm going to throw this out here. Screw the rest of the news. It's all horseshit anyway. I'm going to throw this out here. We're going to have a little fun tonight. You remember how Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine wanted to get stricken down by Rey so his essence can transfer into her body, right? Now people are saying, just like how they made certain scenes in the original trilogy, it meant one thing back then, but because the other movies and other episodes of television come out, that now that scene means totally something different. The verbiage has more weight, different layers, yada, yada, yada. Well, the part where he tells Luke to strike him down, and Luke grabs his saber and tries to strike him down, and Vader stops him with his blade. People were saying, people were saying initially that Vader was saving Palpatine, but now everybody's saying that Vader was saving Luke from striking down Palpatine, having Palpatine's essence.
Down.
I can feel your anger. I am defenseless. Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Go into his body, which kind of makes sense. Because let's face it, if even he did strike him down, right? His father in episode 5 in the Empire told him, the Emperor has seen that you can defeat him. Join me. We can kill the Emperor and rule the galaxy together as father and son. I can complete your training. So right then and there, when him stopping Luke, did he stop Luke because he realized the Emperor would go into his body and becomes even more powerful, that he could always be his bitch for the rest of his life? And he didn't want Luke to do that? Because let's face it, if Luke struck him down, right, then he wins. Then Vader and him could rule the galaxy. So now it adds another layer to it because of what's going on in episode 9. But at the same time, if the Emperor foresaw that Luke was going to destroy him, why did he stop him? Because then he would have got his cake and eat it too on that other side of the spectrum from the argument. So it's open to interpretation. What do you guys think?
I think that, you know what, it makes sense to me because Anakin / Darth Vader has always been conflicted. He was Palpatine's bitch. So he knew that if he didn't bend to him, he'd be destroyed and discarded. But, at that moment, Anakin came out, his love for his son came out. And I actually believe now that he did it to save Luke.
I always love it when they're able to kind of spin a twist on something and never give you the answer and always get the wheels turning. I never thought of it like that, but after seeing the Rise of Skywalker, what he wanted him to do, what he wanted Rey to do, it makes perfect sense that he would, bait Luke into doing it and then jump into him and transfer his essence into him. It makes perfect sense. No way in God's green earth would any of us ever thinking that when we watched Return of the Jedi from 83 till now. But seeing that spin on it, shit like that, I love.
It's an interesting spin, but I think it is what it is back in 1983. I think he wanted him to get to the point where he would actually swing to strike him down, and the plan was always that Vader was going to stop him, and that he would have to face Vader and fight, and then kill Vader to take his place by Palpatine's side. You can't really apply the logic of something that was made up, a year ago to something from 1983. I think it's an interesting concept, and I think the writers who were writing Rise of Skywalker were kind of thinking of that moment and trying to recreate that moment, but give it a purpose that her striking him down would make her the ruler and the emperor of the universe on Exegol. But I don't think you can really apply the same logic to the original movie. But it's an interesting thought.
Well, listen, they've done it before, where even in the same movie, Return of the Jedi, when Luke is up on the scaffold and Vader looks up at him and goes, "Obi-Wan has taught you well." People at that time thought, oh, because of his Jedi training and his skill with the lightsaber. But in reality, after Episode 3 comes out, Obi-Wan had the high ground. Now Luke had the high ground. So it adds texture and layers to that saying. So he throws the saber, and that brings Luke crashing down off the scaffold. So again, open to interpretation. But that's what art is, right? Art's always open to interpretation. Everyone views it differently. But I love the fact, like Doc says, they take something that's this big, then they put a twist on it, and maybe a double or triple or quadruple meaning, and now it's this big, and it's open to interpretation. It can mean so many different things. So I don't know. I just threw it out there. To mean, let's face it, Star Wars is always going to be over. And speaking of over,
here we are.
Okay,
That's how you do transition.
There you go. Listen, Chris, don't feed his fucking ego. He doesn't need it. Please.
Listen, this is going to be the last rendition of Who's More Over, because this is the last episode of the NFO, because the fans suck. So, anyhow.
You can catch me on my new podcast next Tuesday. It's called The Old Force Order.
It's new Force Order.
The new Force. It's going to be called NFO Black, NFO Red. We're going to split. We got the Wolfpack on one side.
Yeah. So what we do here is we use wrestling terminology, and the over in wrestling terminology is getting popular with the fans. When you're a good guy, you're a babyface. When you're over as a babyface with the fans in wrestling, people will pay a lot of Scott Hall to come see you beat up the villain. When you're over as a heel, which is the villain in babyface terms, people will pay a lot of money to come see you lose and get your ass kicked. What we do is we compare two aspects of Star Wars lore, person, place, a thing, and we see what's more over with you, the fans, but most importantly, what's more over with us, because we actually count and you guys don't matter. So, Doc, please enlighten these scruffy nerf herders who the contestants are this week.
This week on Who's More Over, we threw some random competitors in the random competitor generator, and we pushed out in one corner one of the Sons of Dathomir. No, not Darth Maul, but his ugly yellow brother, Savage Opress.
My lord. Is it finished? Yes. The temple has been taken. And the Jedi? Dead. Very impressive, Savage. Return to Sereno immediately. Very well, my lord.
Who, by the way, if you didn't know, was voiced by Clancy Brown, who also played the Devorian in The Mandalorian.
Clancy Brown also does a voice in
Rebels. He does
too.
General somebody. I don't know what it was. I watched an episode the other day. I'm like, yeah, that's Clancy Brown's voice.
He's Mr. Krabs, too.
Yes, he is Mr. Krabs. You are correct. The guy's making some Scott Hall on the voice acting.
Good for him.
And then we have him up against one of the members of the Jedi Council, who usually popped up in holographic form of the Jedi Council because people speculate he was at the Twi'lek strip club. Our good Conehead friend, no, not Dan Aykroyd, but Kai Ayamundi.
It's unfair.
We have surveyed all systems in the Republic, but have found no sign of General Grievous.
Hiding in the Outer Rim, Grievous is.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
So, do you guys want to go to the polls first?
Pop it on the polls. I know. So let's go to the polls first. So Spiro just floated me the Instagram. And on the Instagram, Savage Opress is over 89 to 11%.
Wow. Take that.
That's an absolute ass whipping over there. And on the Facebook poll, let us see here. Let me do some math. Savage Press is over on the Facebook poll, 80-20. We got a couple comments on the Facebook poll. John Enright, our buddy Johnny N, comments that Savage Press is moreover more story and character about him. We know more about him. He's also working to help his brother and lived up to the name. A guy named Johnny Walker, not Johnny Walker Black, comments on Kayamundi. He goes, who doesn't love a guy whose head looks like a cone? If you turn him upside down and take away his eyes, he kind of looks like a shorn penis. Kayamundi is more over for him.
You sure that wasn't you?
I don't know who this Johnny Walker is, but that's our comments on Facebook.
He's a fighter, no?
All right, so
Johnny that's Johnny Wayne Parr.
So we'll go to the emails. Todd Santiago, first email.
Never heard of him.
Who's more over? But what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Kiadi Mundi, as we know, Jedi Master on the Council, and looks like Chevy Chase in Coneheads.
Hey.
You mean Dan Aykroyd? He means.
I think Chevy was the Conehead too.
Savage, I don't know. I don't remember. Savage Press is a beast, a monster, if you will, and Darth Maul's brother. Dooku even started training him and talked about fast learners. Savage became very powerful in a short time. Plus, Zabrak is intimidating looking. I'm voting for Savage. His dark side use is impressive, and more impressive is his use of double-bladed lightsaber. Savage all the way. Thank you, NFO. Keep up the great work. Stay safe. New Force Order for life.
Thank you.
All right. Next one is the Bast Master, Dust, or BS Master. Savage is likely totally jacked version of Maul. Meanwhile, Kiamundi's head freaks me out. I want to see Savage slice the top of Key's dome off. Savage is over for the win. Okay. Next one. The Gilbiest of Tim. Hey, NFO guys. This week's I'm picking Mundi. One of my favorite Star Wars moments was the Battle of Geonosis, and he was on the front line stabbing and slabbing. P.S. Why was the droid so angry? Because people kept pushing his buttons.
Timmy, those jokes.
Looking forward to seeing who wins the King of the Wing. Oh boy. Thanks guys for going the extra mile like homeboy goes that extra mile to sell his last bags of oranges.
Man.
NFO for life. All right, boys. Let's go around the horn regarding this segment of Who's More Over. What do you guys think?
Well, listen, man, Savage Press, number one, he's Zabrak. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be over. He's Darth Maul's brother. He's Darth Maul on steroids. He has the dope lightsaber. Not as smart, not as gifted as his brother, but he makes up for it in raw force and strength.
He's more Savage.
He's way more Savage.
They shop at Target.
Yeah. Asajj Ventrese actually chose him as a suitable mate. I don't know if they actually ever did the deed, but so that alone, in my opinion, gets him over. But
was that because he makes a horny baby?
He's very, But listen, man, I gotta take my hat off to Mundi. He went out a fucking boss, man. He, fought in the front lines. I have a lot of love and respect for him, even though he looks like a fucking albino turd. But at the end of the day, man, dark side wins. Savage Press over, and that's that.
Chris?
Savage all the way. I always go by who I'd rather have an action figure of. I'd rather have him than a dildo. So that's absolutely,
it's about
Savage.
Then the chick should have voted for Kayamundi.
Well,
What's
Doc
up?
Doc would probably vote for Kayamundi then because he wants that dildo.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's always making those
Savage
dildo
would be
references.
kind of painful. He looks like a claw. I don't think that would work.
It's ribbed for his pleasure.
You never know, man. Some chicks are crazy. Anyway, I think this is an easy battle. Listen, Kayamundi, he does have some backstory to him. He was in a couple episodes of Clone Wars. Interesting Jedi, interesting look. As an action figure collector, you always appreciate a different look for your figures. So it's not just your Anakins, your Obi-Wans. You got the Ki-Adi-Mundis there. There was some legend story of him when he was wearing some kind of fucking funny ass hat that he was out in the desert or something. I don't know. He's wearing like a respirator.
Fucking condom and shit.
Exactly. He rolled it down past his head.
Was it like a ground? It was like a Grand Poobah hat from like Flintstones.
Exactly what it was.
Nice.
Interesting, but if you look at just the sheer viciousness of Savage Opress and the fact that he added to the Darth Maul character without being Darth Maul himself, made him super cool. So Savage all the way.
I have to agree. Savage all the way. I love the fact that they introduced him through Mother Talzin. Mother Talzin smartened him up. He went and found his brother. He was the brawn to Maul's brain. So they made a perfect tag team. He had a cool look, cool lightsaber. Unfortunately, his time was limited because he did the job to the Emperor. And the Emperor came and Barry Horowitzed his ass. And that's it. So I'm going to go with Savage Opress. So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys can send your picks for who's more. Oh, actually, you can't because this is the last episode. So tough shit. So let's see, guys.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to clarify this. Last free episode of the NFO. And if you guys don't like it, tough shit. I told you guys. I told each and every one of you sons of bitches out there that we're doing this King of the Wing for you guys, not for us. We built up 4 weeks worth of voting and emails, and we compared all the wing ships of the Rebels. The A Wing, the B Wing, the Y Wing, the U Wing, the V Wing, and the X Wing. And we wanted to find out who you guys think was the best wing ship out of all of them, right? Hence King of the Wing, which was a play on King of the Ring, which was a tournament in the WWF back in the day.
Over their heads.
What do? We put this out for 4 weeks. 4 fucking weeks. And what do we get? 5 emails from the same 5 people that always email us. So, fuck yous all. So, do me a favor first. Let's see if anyone voted. What are the voting tactics on this? The statistics, I mean.
We had voting on this?
We didn't have polls so they can vote?
We didn't have any polls. It was all emails.
No, we had voting on all the social media sites, I thought.
I thought the plan was
no, Spider. I thought you said it was okay, Spider.
No, wait a minute.
Guys?
There weren't gonna be polls so that we can actually hide the results, so that at the end of the day, at the end of it all, it could be a surprise.
Yes, I remember that too.
Right? I remembered something,
All right, so now we have to count the emails like a bunch of fucking schnooks. I
wouldn't count
marinara and I got egg noodles and fucking ketchup.
They don't fucking deserve. They don't deserve to fucking know who won. I'll tell you who didn't win. They didn't win because this being the last free episode, you motherfuckers are gonna have to pony up. What is it? 20 a fucking shot now?
$7,000.
$7,000.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Well, listen, let's go through this real quick then. GL5319, right? King of the Wing. Hello, NFO. Your boy John Enright, aka J Rizzy Min. Excited y'all tweet my wing idea. As always, y'all do it better. That's right. You best fucking believe it. So if Legends is valid for a choice, I would go with the E-Wing. It's not valid, just like Revan.
Of course.
It was an improved X-Wing. If not, I love the classic T-65 X-Wing, but I'm going to go with the B-Wing. Unique design, versatile like Doc, and his sexuality, and extremely deadly like Spiro. Thanks for all you do, gentlemen. I appreciate all you do, especially with what I'm going through right now. Have a great day. From a great state of Texas. Well, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Thank you.
And John gets free lifetime membership to the new Force Order.
I don't know about that. Moises Sandoval.
Sorry, John.
We've been outvoted.
Moises Sandoval, right? AKA the 88th homeboy, who Big Sal told him to go fuck himself tonight on the Conspiracy Horseman podcast.
Tonight? Oh, shit.
Remember, it's Wednesday. We're filming today. I would like to submit my pick for King of the Wing. I choose the motherfucking X-Wing. As a kid, I had many Star Wars figures, and I had to choose between the Millennium Falcon or the X-Wing. I choose the Falcon, but I wish I would have gotten the X-Wing too. I would have put Luke in that motherfucker and had a blast with that shit. But oh well, so is my pick, mothers. Well, thank you there. I'm glad to see that you were grammatically incorrect as usual. You bilingual, grammatically incorrect puto. But let's see. Tim Kilby. Next one, King of the Wing. For the King of the Wing, I'm picking the X-Wing. Simple answer is it blew up the Death Star, and that's good enough reason for me. P.S. What's a rebel pilot's favorite TV show? X-Wing Factor. NFO for life.
For life.
All right. Then we have Harley Garland. King of the Wing. Oh, God. Just to clarify, all these
Vader's
ships...
X-Wing. Vader's X-Wing.
All these ships are Jedi garbage. However, I noticed one ship was visibly missing in the graphic. No love for Vader's X-Wing. Tremendous. The Empire First Order have better, bigger, faster ships. Planet-killing technology. Jedi scum have got to step up their game. NFO for life. So you sent an email and you didn't pick any. What's the point?
Vader's X-Wing, man.
No love for Vader's X-Wing, she said.
She picked the Sith. That's what she picked, as usual.
But that wasn't part of the answer. That wasn't.
It doesn't matter.
All right. Todd Santiago, King of the Wing. I like all. Let's face it, I'm a real Star Wars fan. Have been since 1977. So with that in mind, the X-Wing. X-Wing, X-Wing. New Force Order for life.
For life.
All right. So there you have it, guys. It looks like the X-Wing's over. Guys, what do you guys pick?
Chris, you go first.
It's got to be the X-Wing. That's what I always wanted whenever Christmas presents, anything. X-Wing, most versatile, most probably the fastest with the 4 engines. I think it's the go-to ship.
All right. Well, I'm gonna second that with you, Chris. My second favorite ship in the Star Wars lore is the X-Wing. First being the Falcon. So
yeah,
but that's just me. I love the design of the X-Wing. It looks symmetrically badass. Not to mention that you need the R2 unit or the droid unit to help you maneuver. I mean, let's face it, it blew up the Death Star, so X-Wing all day long. But if I had to pick a second place wing, it's a toss up between the U-wing, because I really like the U-wing with the way the wings move.
Patrick U-wing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Y-wing. The A-wing and the B-wing and the V-wing suck, in my opinion. But anyway, go on.
All right. So I'm gonna knock them off one by one here. B-wing, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. I have no idea who developed that ship. It looks atrocious. It looks nothing like a B. It looks more like a lowercase t. It's ridiculous. The Y-wing, another.
So if you had two of them, would they be TTs?
They'd be big TTs. Y-wing, again, another odd looking ship. It's got those weird 2 engines on the side. Like, how do you park that fucking thing? I don't know. Strange. The V-wing is briefly seen in Revenge of the Sith. Coolish looking ship. It's a kind of a modification of the X-wing. If you look at it, I think it's slightly more versatile than the X-wing. The X-wing's got those weird wings. What if you clip off one of those wings of the X-wing? You're done. That's it.
3 more.
You're not steering through 3 of those things over there. I think you're going down like a ton of bricks. All right. So for me, if you tell me, hey Doc, what do you want to pilot? We're hitting the fucking the Death Star trenches. I'm going A-wing all the way, baby, because it's sleek. It's got a thin profile. It's going to be very difficult to hit. The engines are in the back. They're not extended out like some stupid as Y-wing. There's no 4 other wings. If I clip one of those, I'm going to spin out of control. It's tiny. Blasters on the side. Give me the A-wing any day of the week.
So you like the Prius of the Star Wars galaxy?
I'm down. Listen, if that bitch runs on electricity, I'm in.
It's a practical ship, man. It is very. But I gotta say this, and it goes back to what Chris said. Out of all the ships that I wanted, aside from the Falcon, as a kid to play with was the X-Wing. You guys know that my favorite sounding ship is a fucking TIE fighter, but the X-Wing is the one ship that above all I wanted and I never had. So I'm gonna go vote for it right now and say X-Wing.
All right. Well, it wasn't any surprise. I figured the X-Wing would go over strong. But we did try to give the other ships fighting chance. But again, fuck you fans. You guys dropped the ball on this. So you guys messed up, man. You done fucked up. Like I said in Menace to Society, you done fucked up.
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you? I see what I'm saying. I thought... No, so, you know what I'm saying? That you done fucked up now, you know that, don't you?
Yeah.
You know you done fucked up, don't you? You know it, don't you? No, you done fucked up.
Without the tape.
Now, we're never going to do this again. Supposedly, we get X amount of downloads from all our platforms that we're on. And the fact that the same 5 talking people comment every week in, week out, are the same 5 people that just emailed us. Whatever, dude. I'm tired. It's 12:30 in the morning here on Thursday morning, Wednesday night. And we're doing this for you guys for free. But like Roberto Duran, nada más. You guys are going to have to pay some Scott All for this now because I'm tired of you people. You guys all suck. A whole big bag of dicks, like my boy Spiro likes to say.
Big
Anyhow.
fat dicks.
Yeah, speaking about big fat dicks, let's go to the Kama Sutra, boys.
Is it time?
Obviously, because that's the best segue I've done all night. So let's go.
Let's do it. That's what she said.
Imagine GGP goes to the spam mail and then next week, guys, we're sorry. We apologize. We've had all this.
He'll never apologize. Don't worry.
Hold on. I'm going to check spam mail right now.
It's time to travel to a planet in the galaxy far, far away. The 69th planet to be exact. Grab your lightsaber, or maybe have a loved one grab it for you.
Oh my God.
Because it's time for Star Wars Kama Sutra. Oh yeah.
I didn't even think.
That would be literally hilarious.
Oh shit! Imagine that.
All right, Chris, shoot a number out.
15.
15. Let's see if we got 15 here. I think we did 15 already. 15 was It's a Crap, which was the Wookiee and Admiral Akbar.
27.
27. Let's see 27. Hold on. We've done a bunch of these already. We've done that one already. That's called It's a Trap. It's a Trap, which is when Admiral Akbar tries to bang an underage Ahsoka Tano. So we definitely did that one.
Okay.
Shout out to Jeffrey Epstein. Joe Biden.
Yeah.
32.
30, okay. I think we did this one as well. This was the Master Vader. I think we did the Master Vader as well. Where I think that was one of the first ones we did over there. That was Papa Dog's number.
What's the high number? What's the high number?
High number is 100.
Okay, well, let's go.
All right, high number is
71.
71. All right, high number is 98. I think it is 71. We did 71 too. Revenge of the prequels. Christ. All right, we got that. All right, I'm gonna pick a number here. Let's see. Hold on.
You go ahead.
How about we do 99, opposite of 66?
99. I don't think it's a page. It's a what you call it. It's
an index. The glossary index.
Exactly. All right. In honor of Chris being here, we're going to do page 74 and 75. This one's called The Sharpshooters.
Oh, boy.
You can imagine what it involves, okay? Okay.
Somebody's face.
This is actually pretty witty. It involves Aura Singh, the random bounty hunter from episode 1, a stormtrooper, a snow trooper, a clone trooper, and a scout trooper. So all around the set here it's an armoire, it's a bed, it's a makeup table, and it's a dresser drawer. And Aura Singh is lying on the bed, and all the troopers who are trying to fuck her are actually nowhere near where she actually is. One of them is fucking the armoire. One of them is fucking across her on the bed, not even like, in missionary style. He's like sideways missionary style.
Oh,
The other one is banging the makeup table, and the other one is banging the bedside table. Because as we know, those stormtroopers are quite the sharpshooters.
We have no aim.
Yes.
That's a pretty accurate representation.
Yeah, the best is the
Outstanding
close
guy.
on the corner right there, who's like literally banging the bedside table.
Yeah,
it's good.
Nice, good one.
That one's called the sharpshooters. It's pretty funny.
Very nice.
I like that one. It's good. Pop, you good? You're right there, Pop.
Yeah,
You
I'm
good?
fine, dude.
She's falling asleep over there.
You're just shocked.
No. I was falling asleep. I'm just wondering what the hell this guy, Scruffy Nuffer, was smoking or snorting or injecting while he was coming up with these ideas.
Listen,
that's
he's
it.
a pretty frightening dude. I mean, we had him on the show.
I know. He writes greeting cards. I get it. And I mean, not greeting cards, whatever. Love
Online dating
profiles. Yeah.
dating profiles. So God bless you, brother. Not insulting you. I'm just what you use for your ideas captivates me. I'm in awe. Anyhow.
And Papa Dad would never let you watch his kids. Anyway.
Oh fuck no! You out of your mind? Since you use a lot of toys, and speaking about toys, let's go to Tatooine. I think it's time.
Or Tatooine.
Fuck the song. Just let's go right into the segment.
Anyway, here's this.
The fans don't deserve a fucking song. Fuck them.
You suck! New Star Wars Blade Builders. The Force is calling to you. Which side will you choose? Connect to the light side with Blue Jedi mode and lead the rebellion. Or activate Red Sith mode and give in to the dark side. The power to unlock the Force is in your hands. Which side will you choose? New Star Wars Path of the Force lightsaber, Jedi or Sith, works with the entire Blade Builder system. Sold separately. Batteries not included.
I should have stayed asleep today. Anyway, so I got a couple things to talk to in this week. As usual, stuff is always rolling in from Amazon and whatnot in the Arroyo household. I got something that I've been waiting for about a month and a half or so. Hasbro Pulse announced one of the vintage carded Black Series, and it came so pristine and perfect. I want to try to keep it that way. I don't want anybody's grubby fingers on it.
So it wasn't from Walmart then, huh?
It was definitely not from Walmart.
That's what I was thinking.
This was a secret that they released on the Empire Strikes Back Black Series vintage card line. So this is your boy Papa Don, Han Solo, frozen in carbonite. It's the 6-inch figure, not the small one, the big one. It's got the throwback card that he had for the Power of the Force when that came out after the Return of the Jedi figures came out in the Power of the Force lines in the late 80s, the mid 80s, 85 or so, which is one of the rare 17 last figures. The interesting thing about this is that on the original one, it actually came with the Han Solo figure. This one does not come with a Han Solo figure. It's just a block of carbonite with a stand in the back that you could stand it up either straight or stand it up sideways and load it up in the Boba Fett ship. So they kind of gypped you by not giving you the Han figure. They didn't have one tooled because they haven't made that Han Solo, but it's pretty easy to make. All you need is the Bespin one. Just take off the jacket, put just regular arms on it, and you're done. But they did not include that in this one. They just did this one, so they lowered the price. Instead of $19.99, it was $14.99. It's not even on the back of the package. You look at the back of the package; it doesn't even have them on there. It just has the original 5 that they released. But this is, I mean, gorgeous, beautiful figure, pristine condition. HasbroPulse.com had this sold out. Amazon had it sold out. I wish I would have bought 2 at this point because it's definitely going to be worth a little bit of trade bait and a little bit of cash in the future. Does not light up, unfortunately, but it has the panels on the side, as you can see right there. And it's got an accurate depiction of our boy Han Solo frozen in carbonite. So this one's going to go up on the wall. I put a bunch of my Black Series from the vintage line on the wall already. Above me, going right into a figure defender from figureshield.com. And then going right next to Yoda, because this one is a good one. They've also announced a couple of the other ones that are coming out. They're redoing the Darth Vader. They're redoing Chewbacca. They're coming out with a couple other ones for The Empire Strikes Back. And speaking of Empire Strikes Back, I got another Black Series item in the mail, which is a high-ticket item. This is the Black Series 6-inch snow speeder from Hoth. Now, it's hard to make these big vehicles because you need to have this massive box like this. The last one they made that was this big, they did a couple. They did Rey's speeder from Force Awakens. They did Enfys Nest's speeder from Solo Star Wars Story. They did Luke's land speeder from A New Hope. And the biggest one they've done so far is the TIE Fighter, actually. That comes with a pilot, which was a enormous box, retailed for about $200. At some point, they were kind of clearancing them out at some places for like $80. I bought mine initially at $200, and then I found one for cheaper, so I returned that one. I got the other one. But this is the snow speeder, which I literally have just got. In the back, it says, "Snow speeder, while stationed in Hoth, the Rebel Alliance modified T-47 air speeders to become snow speeders. The snow speeder has a two-man vessel with a pilot and a rear-facing tail gunner. And this one actually comes with the tail gunner as the figure. So they've released all of these with a figure. It comes with Dak Rattler. Very good, Papa Don. I'm very impressed that you knew that. It does come with Dak Rattler, who unfortunately bit the dust in The Empire Strikes Back when they got shot down. Him and Luke. He was Luke's tail gunner. I think Papa Don is a tail gunner too, but his name is Alvin Alvarez. Oh, so let's open this bad boy up. Let's take a look. Here it goes. It's actually pretty accurately life-sized if you look at it. I mean, the thing is enormously massive. That's what she said. It's got the guns on the side. It's got the opening. The canopy opens up. If I could squeeze him out over there. Jesus Christ. Pinned down. Just like in the movie. You couldn't get the hatch open. I'm having hatch problems, boys. The back hatch opens up too. You can stick Dak over there. There we go. All right. Thanks, Jesus. So it even has those little pull tabs that they yank to get it open. It has the seatbelts because it's 2020, and God forbid if we release anything without any seatbelts. You see seatbelts over there. So you can slide Dak in the back, Luke in the front. It has the guns on the side over here that you can attach onto your ship. I like to keep mine in the box, so if I attach it, it's gonna be too big to actually fit inside there. It has the back panel that actually comes off as well. It's sitting over here. It's pretty weathered. And then you can see our boy Dak sitting in the corner right over there. He's not in a card. He just comes on this little bubble over there hanging out. They basically took Luke's body from the recent released Luke Skywalker Hoth pilot, and they just put Dak's head on it. So listen, it's a cheap way to get it out there. I have no problem. I don't mind more figures. What's better than Star Wars figures? More Star Wars figures. So the Dak should actually be worth a pretty decent amount of money because usually these guys who come with the ships go up in value because you have to buy the ship to actually get the figure. So this retailed for, oh man, I can't remember the exact. I think it was $149, I think, on HasbroPulse.com. Second it went up, I pre-ordered it because I need to have my Black Series complete. That's Tatooine this week, boys. I got good news. I reached out to 2 toy collectors from that movie that you sent me, Spiro, Plastic Galaxy. If no one has seen it yet, yeah, there's a little documentary on the Star Wars toys and action figures and Kenner called Plastic Galaxy. It's on this app called Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi.
Free app that you can download. Get your free movies. It has a bunch of things on there. It actually has the whole Transformers library, so you can watch all the Transformers cartoons from the 80s. There was a show called Plastic Galaxy on it, which basically goes through the Star Wars history of the Star Wars toys and how Kenner picked up the license, similar to the toys that made us, but they go in a little more detail and they speak to a lot of collectors. And I reached out to this guy named Bill McBride, who runs a thing called Sif Toys, which basically he is the most detailed and deep Darth Vader collector on the planet. The guy has a significant amount of Darth Vader memorabilia, prototypes, insane things. He's going to come on the show in a couple episodes. And then I reached out to another guy. His name is Jean-Paul Raguso, a fellow New York guy. He's in upstate New York. He runs a website called the Imperial Gunnery and the Imperial Gunnery Forums, which I've used many, many times. And I listen, this guy is an amazing resource. Basically, he shows you how to figure out if your vintage weapons that you get when you buy your figures, if you buy things off eBay or Mercari or whatever it is, he tells you how to figure out if they're reproductions or if they're the real weapon that came with the figure. And we'll go into when he gets here, but that's amount of detail that this guy has on this website is insanity. And you guys know for the last, a year and a half ago, I put together a vintage collection. I bought all the figures again. And the amount of scam that tries to happen on eBay and the way people reproduce these weapons, some of them are worth $75 for a stupid little gun, $100 for a lightsaber, which, whichever it is criminal. The amount of effort these counterfeiters put into making these weapons. And we'll go into detail on that when he gets. I don't want to steal the guy's thunder because that's my job. But it's super impressive. So we'll have two of those guys on the show at some point in the upcoming future. I'm just making plans with them when to get them on. But that's Tatooine this week, fellas.
Well, if the fans want to see that, they're gonna have to fucking pay for it. So
exactly.
Just stole the words out of my mouth, Spiro. Thank you. All right, Chris. We didn't bring you on the show because you're another pretty face. I mean, you're always welcome to come on the show whenever you want, but you said you had some news to share with our fans.
Absolutely. As we've discussed before, this whole COVID situation has hit the 501st really hard. And the charities that we support, for not being able to troop, not being able to get out there. We normally do about 100, 110 troops a year. This year, I think we've done about 7 that were actual real world troops. But what we've been doing is doing virtual events. We've been doing videos, raising money for different charities online through our Facebook. We have a special Facebook page just for that purpose called the ECG Virtual Troop Facebook page. And that has all videos, over 150 so far, that our members have recorded. Some are funny, some are PSAs, some are just the guys goofing around doing the Macarena, doing other funny things, all to bring attention to different charities. We had done food pantries for the first part of the pandemic. We raised over $1,500 for 3 different food pantries around the New York area. And now we're turning our attention to a charity that's very close to my heart, Cerebral Palsy of Nassau County, because I actually happen to work there and know how hard they've been hit with this COVID-19 situation. We at Cerebral Palsy have done, just to try to find new avenues to raise money through our development department, 2 virtual bingo events so far with a group called LI Kicks, and they were very successful. We can have like 75 to 100 people over Zoom, all competing with bingo cards for a small donation to the Cerebral Palsy Association, and they get some great prizes. We had tons of prizes that for events that didn't happen that we're able to give away during these bingo events. Well, we decided, this would be a perfect opportunity to give some of the members of the 501st an opportunity to do some trooping and do something positive for charity, and also bring some more attention to these bingo events and some of the fundraisers for Cerebral Palsy in Nassau County. So on July 22nd at 8 o'clock, we're going to be running a Star Wars virtual bingo event with up to 200 people, and we already have about a dozen Star Wars characters lined up that are going to be on participating in the bingo event. We have a live DJ. We have someone who does the pulling of the balls, who's a great MC.
That's going to be Papa Don.
Yeah.
You're the doctor, not me.
He's a great MC. His name is Sal. He's from LI Kick. He's fantastic at doing it. And we're going to have some trivia in between. And we've been asking our members and some friends of the Garrison to donate toys. And I want to thank you guys at the NFO. We had discussed it briefly just in passing on a previous episode. Alex, you really came through, sent me a nice box of stuff. We cannot thank you enough. It might even be enough stuff with the stuff that we already acquired from our members to do maybe a second bingo event in August. So, guys, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And
our pleasure, Chris.
If any of the viewers want to join us, we're going to have prizes. We're going to play 5 games of bingo. The prizes are going to be increasing from about $50 up to about $150 worth of prize packs that are all Star Wars merchandise, all donated by our Garrison members and friends of the Garrison like the NFO. So please check it out. You can register to buy your bingo ticket. It's $10 for 1 ticket, and it's 3 for $25 at cpnassau-b3.eventbrite.com. You can also find out the information and the event link from our ECG Virtual Troop page or at cpnassau.org. But please join us. It's a great event for a great charity. And if you love Star Wars, It's going to be all Star Wars themed, all Star Wars trivia, all Star Wars prizes, and some Star Wars movie accurate characters on there to add to the excitement. So please come and join us. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell folks about it here today.
Right on.
Listen, you're more than welcome, brother. Anytime you want to come in and just let an event be known that you guys are doing, you're more than welcome to come on the show, hang out with us, and promote the event. Because number one, it's a selfless act. You guys are doing this for charity, which is the most important thing. You guys all have big hearts, and you guys are just sharing it with the world, which is awesome. You're doing the Lord's work, man, and we thank you for that. Because if more people in the world were like you and you, Garrison, and just talk with their hearts instead of their minds or whatever they're indoctrinated with, whatever system indoctrinates their minds, the world would be a much better place. Because that's what it's about, making the world a better place. We try to do it through this podcast every week, through Star Wars. You're doing it through with your Garrison, your New York City Garrison, your 501st Legion, and you're doing a hell of a job. So kudos to you, and thank you for being an awesome individual and being a friend of our show, man. We love having you on. No shit. This is the truth. You've been on the show the most, and we'd want you to come back the most.
Anytime, guys. Anytime. I love shooting the shit with you guys and talking stuff. Yeah. You guys are the real deal. And again, I love how you have no judgment. You let people have their own opinions. Your opinion's your opinion.
Absolutely.
And we share our views, share our opinions, and there's no judgment.
Yeah, well, that's the way it got to be, bro, because we're not trying to get over on Star Wars. We try to get Star Wars more over with the fans, and that's all that we care about. Just putting out entertaining content that now you fuckers have to pay for. But we're going to be putting out entertaining content that's unbiased, as truthful as possibly could be. And, we're going to have fun talking about what we love to talk about. That's Star Wars. But I digress. Boys, let them know where they can find you guys at.
Find me at Dr. DeStroryo on Instagram, Alex Arroyo MD on Twitter, and Alex Arroyo on Facebook.
I'm just going to say, man, and if I can just have my Joe Biden moment. If you don't like the NFO, then you don't like fucking Star Wars, so suck a dick. But you can find me with all my cute pictures, Spiro_A on Instagram, and I'm not going to fucking tell you anything else, because if you don't give a fuck about the NFO, you ain't going to give a fuck about anything else. So fuck you. That's it, man.
Well said. Well said. You can find me at Greek God Papadon on Twitter. Demetrius Papadon on Facebook, Greek God Papadon on Instagram. The YouTube page is Greek God Papadon. Go like the page, subscribe to it. It's all the wrestling stuff that I do. And you go to Pro Wrestling Tees /Greek God Papadon. You get all your professional wrestling t-shirts with my logos and likeness on it. But most importantly, you can find the three of us together collectively at NFO_podcast on Twitter, New Force Order, our Instagram, official New Force Order on Facebook, and the email address is newforceorder@yahoo.com. Now, we'll let all you people know what the Patreon tiers are for the next week's show, and we highly suggest, if you guys want to continue listening to us, to start paying us that scatol. And your Imperial credits are no good here, right, Doc?
Exactly. Your Imperial credits are no good here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for showing your true colors and being the piece of shit that you guys are, for not voting the King of the Wing. And because of your inability to partake in this fun atmosphere that we provide, you all shall feel the wrath of the Sith. And the Sith is coming for you guys. And we're taking over NFO style. Chris, let them know where they can find you and your troop at. And let's promote the links one more time for your event on the 22nd of July.
When this is all over, please check us out at 501ecg.com. You can request an event there if you're a nonprofit or charitable organization. We don't charge for our appearances. We do it all on an all-volunteer basis. You can also check out some of our activities over the past couple of months with our ECG Virtual Troop on Facebook, or you can check us out at Empire City Garrison on Facebook as well. If you need to reach me, if you have any questions about the 501st or what we do, you can reach out to me directly. My name is Chris Feehan, and I'm at CureMode, CureMode, at CureMode.com. Also, if you're available, July 22nd, 8 p.m. Check out our virtual Star Wars bingo event at cpnassau-b3.eventbrite.com. Thanks so much, guys. We could really use your support at Cerebral Palsy of Nassau County. Anything you could do, it's going to be a fantastic time.
Well, thank you for coming on, brother, and thank you for doing the Lord's work. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another exciting edition and your last free edition. You did it to yourself, you sons of bitches, of the new Force Order.
For life. Not for free, for life.
And that's just, now you're going to pay for it.
Bye, guys.
Later, Chris. Henceforth, you fuckers will have to pay for the NFO.
Roll out, got a bounty on deck, round strapped to my chest, gat on the back, check, go. Fully set, feet up to the neck. If your name gets read, I am coming for your head. Whoa, come and get hit if you want it. This will go one of two ways. Either you're quiet departed, or you get hit with the rays. You're only getting a chance, one you should probably take. Cause when I get in that ass, boy, I promise it won't be a date. Hey, live for the 100 and stay on me properly. Plentiful bounty, you know that I'm about to be taking your job and your blood doesn't bother me. Try me and die with the rest of your company. Never got company with me, and honestly, you would get dropped and you're thinking to bother me. This is the way, don't believe it, then challenge me. And be the clip in your body like you're the boy I am, baby, and cuddling friend of a man, no man. I wiggle my ears and wave my hand, you flow. You're a boy I am, make my stand, walk real slow, eat a wrong and then wiggle my ears and wave my hand, you flow. You heard them, so many people try and we swerve them. Force on deck, come with no respect, hurt them. Everybody like, yo, he's so cute, bro. They don't even know I can be so rude. Imagine it, I was just chilling in my bassinet. Then I heard him, and the man handled it. I knew it was different. He could have turned me in, but instead of cash and bounty checks, he turned me to a friend. Damn, he was ride or die. Killer, so of course, when I had the opportunity, I introduced the force. Got his ass trashed, he was shooting in his shorts, but I gave a little wave and it neighed like a horse. I'm a beast, baby Yoda crawling on the scene. Knew that we would be a team, cause he all about the green. Oh, try to take me G, I wouldn't recommend it. You're a punk and we built some better men. Meet the end, bitch. You're the boy I am.